recording. I'd like to welcome everyone to this webinar. We'll be doing a quick deep Udvajalan and start the program. Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you. I would like to pass it on to Komalji to start the proceedings of the day. Dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad, Saiji. So I'd like to start just by a simple question. One might ask what the purpose is of having this webinar in Australia, and that too for a topic, an event, which appears to be Bharatiya-centric. We don't live in India, and we may not be from Uttar Pradesh. So what do we have to do with the consecration ceremony of the Shri Ram Mandir in Ayodhya? As a young Australian Hindu, growing up outside of India, I believe it is crucial to learn about and celebrate milestones that are significant for Hindus. Being a Yuva who proudly follows Sanatan Sanskriti, the indigenous Sanskriti of Bharat, I find myself connected to the dharmic activities and events that take place in India. Because while I may live in Australia, it is Bharat that is my Janmbhoomi and Punya Bhoomi. The Hindu diaspora constitutes more than 20 million people across the globe, and we can see them broadly categorized into three types. The first one, practicing Hindus, who follow religious rituals and practices with a strict discipline. This includes daily puja and archana. The second type, the spiritually awakened Hindus, who may not call themselves Hindus or stand up for Hindu causes, but affiliate with festivals and cultural practices. The third type, civilization Hindus, who might be Hindu by name, but don't necessarily practice. These also include atheists. Despite the differences, for all three categories, Prabhu Shri Ram is a common symbol of ideal, devotion, and faith. He is an embodiment of Maryada as well as Paramatma, the one who tries to achieve cosmic balance of the universe. He is celebrated when someone is born and embraced when someone passes away. So of course, not only is it interesting, but very important for us to know the history, the context, the hundreds of years of struggle, and the legal battles which were fought for this day to arrive. The reconstruction of the Shri Ram Mandir in his Janmabhoomi, Ayodhya. It is a joyous day which would not be possible without the sacrifices and efforts of many millions of Hindus. In Australia itself, there are 680,000 people who identify themselves as Hindu. This is a celebration that unites us all. Without any further delay, on the behalf of Hindu Council of Australia and us all, I would like to welcome our two eminent speakers, respected Dr. K.K. Mohammed and respected advocate Monica Arora. Before I invite them to speak, I will quickly run through the outline of today's webinar. Shortly, I will introduce respected Dr. K.K. Mohammed, who will speak to us about the historical and archaeological aspects. We will then hear respected Monica Arora, who will talk about the legal aspects and the court battles which were fought over the last few decades. After that, we will hear Colonel Mool Bhargavji, a member of the HCA, share some insights with us. And then his speech will be followed by a Q&A session led by Chiragji, which will then conclude our webinar for tonight. I would now like to introduce respected Dr. K.K. Mohammed. Shri Muhammed K.K. retired from the Archaeological Survey of India as Regional Director in the North in 2012, and is known for archaeological excavations and conservation works, for which he was conferred the Padmashri in 2019. He was also awarded the India Harmony Award in 2014 by Dr. Najma Heptulla for working closely with various religious groups. Due to his excellent track record, the Archaeological Survey of India deemed it fit to entrust him with the conservation work of Delhi monuments on the occasion of the Commonwealth in 2010. In Delhi, Shri Muhammed attracted the attention of American President Barack Obama by running slum schools for the laborers working in the monuments for its conservation. For his excellent work, Shri Muhammed has to credit 3 international awards, 7 national awards, and 1 state award. Without further ado, I would like to welcome respected Dr. K.K. Muhammadji.
Can you hear me? Am I clear? Yeah. So, thank you very much, the Hindu Council of Australia and its eminent president. You have just lighted the lamp and dispelled the darkness. Deepu Jyoti, Param Jyoti, Deepu Jyoti Janardana, Deepo Hartume Pap, Deepu Jyoti Namostude. Friends, I am a student of archaeology. Students of archaeology, they have got their own limitations. Whatever is spoken in our itihasas and mythologies, we are not going to accept it in toto. Instead, we say that it has got a kernel of truth. And what is that kernel of truth? And often archaeologists are in search of that one. There are communist historians who would say mythology is simply mythology and there is no historical truth in it at all. But archaeologists are not like that. They would say, no, it has got a kernel of truth. And we have to go for that kernel of truth. And at the same time, they would also say that whatever is discussed and said in the this one, in our mythologies also, and in our Puranas also, and in our Itihasas also, that is not totally correct. Because even for Mahabharata, originally Mahabharata was 8,000 verses, and then it became 24,000 verses, and presently we have got 1 lakh verses in Mahabharata. So the first name was Jaya, that is 8,000 verses. Then it was Bharata, that is 24,000, and now we have got Mahabharata. So there are certain interpolations, and that is not only in Hinduism, that is in Islam also, that is in Christianity also, that is in Judaism also, in almost all the religions. So that is why I say that archaeologists, they have got their own limitations. We don't believe in Pushpaka Vimana because, you know, many people may say that we had Pushpaka Vimana at that time scientifically. We were that great, but an archaeologist would not. If somebody says that we knew surgery at that time, we are not going to believe. If somebody says that, you know, we had internet at that time, we are not going to believe. So it is on the basis of these things, archaeologists mostly analyzes the things. I will just give you, because, you know, we have got shortage of time. So I will just go through this one PPT and I will go on explaining. And before coming to Ayodhya, that is Ramayana excavation, I'll just speak something about this one, about the early excavations that was conducted by Professor B.B. Lal. It was Professor B.B. Lal who had analyzed the mythology and excavated the mythological places like Hastinapura. Hastinapura, as we all know, it was associated with Mahabharata. It was the capital also. So it was for the first time he who had excavated the place. Can we go to our PPT?
You want me to share the PPT?
Yeah.
Okay. please continue to talk. I'll just pull that. I thought you were
Yes, yes, yes.
I'll just.
So it was earlier. We were all, I mean, the historians were mostly saying there is no historical truth in that one. So for the first time, this great person, that is Professor B.B. Lal, he came and he said, no, there are certain historical truth, and we are going to show you through the archaeological excavations. So he took up the first excavation which he had taken up, that was at Hastinapura. When he went to the site, there was a huge mound at that time. It was just on the bank of the river Ganga, on the Budi river Ganga. So he excavated that one. And another important place which he excavated was Kurukshetra. So that was also associated with Mahabharata. And then there were 5 places which Pandavas had demanded that if you are giving, in order to avert a kind of battle between both Pandavas and Kauravas, you please give 5 villages to us. And what are those villages? One is Indraprastha. Where is Indraprastha? It is in Puranakila. Indraprastha, Bagpat, Tilpat, Sonipat, and Panipat. These were the 5 places. And they were associated with Mahabharata. So he went and excavated these places also. So in all these places, when he excavated, at the lowest level, he got a pottery known as PGW, that is known as painted graveware. We'll go to slide 8. So it is known as PGW, that is painted graveware. At the lowest level, all these pottery, they were gray in color, and there was a black painting was there in all these paintings, in all this pottery, which he called as Mahabharata pottery. Mahabharata pottery, that is PGW. So then he went to other sites also. After this one, this was Hastinapura, he went to Kurukshetra. There also he got the same thing. And then Indraprastha also, Tilpat also, Bagpat also, Sonipat also, Panipat also. In all these places, he got it, and he said that this is the typical pottery of Mahabharata. We'll go to slide number 8. Can you order next? And this is Professor B.B. Lal. Yes. This is, I mean, in this one, and in our Rig Veda, there is a reference about 7 rivers. Sapta Sindhu, it is known as. The lowest part you can see Ganga. Above that Yamuna, in the map you can see Ganga, Yamuna. Imam Rig Veda says in River Sukta, Imam me Gange, Yamune Saraswati, Shutudri Somam Sajata Parushnaya. So most of the important events of Mahabharata period and other places or period also, that had taken, and especially the formation of Hinduism had taken place in between Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, and also Sarayu River. So these were the important places. And it was known as Deva Bhumi sometimes, also Madhya Desha, and also Brahma Desha and Brahmarshi Desha, the whole area. And it was believed that it was created by gods and goddesses. Tvam Deva Nirmidam Desham Brahmavartam Pradichyate. This Brahmavarta has been created by gods and goddesses. So that was the concept. Next, please. Can we change the slide? This is, I mean, here you can see Kaushambi is, that is near Allahabad. That is at the confluence of Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. And then Kambil was there. You can see Kambil on the right side. Kambil, it was Draupadi was from Kambil. And then Ahichatra, Jakeda, Ahichatra, Hastinapura, Batnava, all these places you can see. Also, you can see Panipat, Tilpat, Bagpat, all these places also. Next, please. Again, you can see Kambil. Kambil, the Draupadi was from there. Ahichatra, then Hastinapura, Barnava, Bagpat, Next, please. Next, please. This is Mahajanapadas. Next, please. It was during the 6th century. So this was the mound which he had located. So this one, he explored the entire area and then he excavated this area. So when he excavated this area, he got, as I told you, the same kind of pottery. And then you have to have something more than that, the pottery. On the basis of the pottery, since it is available in all the places mentioned in Mahabharata, we can say, of course, this is Mahabharata pottery. But in archaeology, some important events have to be associated with this place also. Next, please. So this is the place where he had excavated. That is in Hastinapura. Next, please. This is the kind of pottery. It is gray in color, and at the same time there will be a dark paintings also would be there. Next, please. This is from other places. That was the earliest one that was from Hastinapura, and this was from other areas, Kurukshetra and other places. Next, please. And now, how to associate it? So, in this one, Vayu Purana, there was a reference about this one, about the great flood that had occurred in Ganga, and because of which, the entire Hastinapura was completely washed out. The entire Hastinapura was completely washed out. So the problem was, after the battle was won by the Pandavas, they said that the eldest person should take over. Who was that? That was Dharmaraja. So Dharmaraja said, no, I don't want to be the king, because for this one, I had to kill my own kith and kin, my own brothers. So I don't want. Then the next person was Arjun. He also said, no, I don't want. Then each of them, all the 5 people, they refused to take over. But your duty, you are a Kshatriya, your duty is to rule. So somebody should rule. Who is that? Let the youngest one, let him be the king. Who was that? That was Parishit. Parishit was the son of Abhimanyu. And Abhimanyu was the son of Arjun. So let him be. So Vayu Purana says, when the 8th generation from Parishit was ruling at Hastinapura, a great flood had occurred at Hastinapura in River Ganga, and the River Ganga completely devastated the entire city. And then people abandoned this one, that is in Hastinapura. They went and settled in Kaushambi. So that verse is Gangeya Apahrade. Ganga Apahrade means that it was stolen by the whole. Ganga had stolen the entire city. Gangeya Apahrade Nagaram Nagaswake, the great Nagari of Hastinapura was stolen by Ganga. Gangeya Apahrade Nagaram Nagaswake Tyuktar Nijachu. Who is Nijachu? Nijachu is 8th generation. He was 8th from Parishit. So Tyuktar Nijachu had abandoned the city, and then Sanivasayade, he went and settled there at a place known as Nagaram Kaushambeyam Sanivasayade. So he went and settled at that place. So what you find here is where the person is keeping his hand, that is the flood line is there. You can see a very flood line as was referred, as was stated in Vayu Purana. And everything washed out. So before that, in all other layers, in the earlier layers, he had got a number of things associated with those periods. But in the river periods and in the flood period, he did not get anything at all. So he came to the conclusion this was a flood which was referred in Vayu Purana, that had occurred during the period of this one, Jatshu. So then this soil was taken to the lab, and where it was, they had to be confirmed whether it is the soil of a flood or it is the soil of some other thing. So there it became very clear, it was the soil of a flood. So it was on the basis of that he had come to the conclusion that Mahabharata and Mahabharata period, it was for the first time people had used iron tools. Till that time, mainly the tools were of bronze age. That is, even during the Harappa, Mohenjo-daro period also it was bronze age. But it was for the first time that iron was used for battle. And that is why people considered it as a ferocious battle. Because iron is a very strong metal, and Krishna's chakra, Sudarshan chakra, and that was a very fatal, this one, with which he could kill people like anything. And that is why he is getting a lot of prominence during that period. Next, please. So these are the tools which was excavated, and these are the, weapons, not tools, rather weapons that was used during those periods. You can see arrow heads are there. Many other weapons are there. Next, please. Next, please. And this is Ahichatra. In Ahichatra, there were, because of this one, because of the prosperity of the period, they used to make huge temples also. Next, please. And this is a Shiva temple. You can see on the top of it, the Shivalinga is there. Next, please. Next. This is River Ganga. Next, please. I'm just skipping. Then this one, Purana Kila was excavated. Purana Kila was excavated by Dr. Vasant. From there also, because that was considered as Indraprastha, from there also we got a number of pieces of this PGW and associated ware also. Next, please. I'm just skipping through because I'm coming to Ayodhya. So these were, it was only before last year that this place was Purana Kila, that is Indraprastha, was excavated. Next, please. And even before in 1955, Professor Lal had excavated. From there also he got the same kind of portrait. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. This is because often about this one. We know that there was a lakh house was built in order to kill Pandavas, and they successfully escaped through this one, a small underground pathway. Next, please. In 2018, because often there are so many references about with this one Rathas, that is chariots, in both in Ramayana also and in Mahabharata also. But so far we have not been able to discover those things, that is parts of these two things in archaeological excavation. For a historian, of course, you can say that it has been mentioned in Ramayana and Mahabharata, so chariots might have been there. But for an archaeologist, you have to get chariots in blood and body, then only he would believe. So when Dr. Sanjay Manjul in 2018, when he excavated Bagpat area, and there is a place known as Sinoli there, he could get a number of weapons which was used probably, I'm not sure, but probably during the Mahabharata period or by the people of Mahabharata period. And also he could get the chariot itself in life and blood, and this one. Next, please. Here you can see a person has been buried on top, and the tools which he had and the weapons he had used, that has been kept down below. All these are, this one, copper this weapon, not iron weapon. Because iron was used right from 1400 or 1500 BC onwards. Before that, for certain things they might have used, but not as a weapon for battle. Next, please. So this is Dr. Sanjay Manjul. Just in front of him, on the other corner, you can see that this one is there. The chariot is there. Next, please. Here you can see the pole of the chariot. In two versions, the pole of the chariot is going, and down below, you can see the wheels of that one. That projection is the wheel. It was, of course, made of wood, and then there was a casing of this one, the bronze casing was there. So only bronze casing was left and the other was completely eaten away. That is, the wooden portion was eaten away. But this archaeologist, that is Dr. Sanjay Manjan, he has very minutely excavated it. Otherwise, getting the whole thing out of the soil, that was very difficult. And very minutely, it was almost a very good craft of a person. Otherwise, ordinarily, it is very difficult to retrieve the entire thing. So you can see on the right side, you can see, can you just run the cursor?
Sorry, Mamaji, what do you want me to?
Yes, yeah, there cursor there आगे कर दीजिए नहीं वो पीछे हो गया आगे कर दीजिए नहीं cursor can you see the wheel? No, ये नहीं वो नहीं करना सिर्फ cursor ही move करना है.
Okay.
You can see the cursor. Can you? Yes, that is the. Can you just circle it? This is that is the wheel portion. The circle. No, there is a. And just behind that one, the back wheel is there. And back wheel is at a lower. This one, the place, and the other one is there. And the poles. Can you just point out the pole? By cursor.
Sorry?
नहीं ये cursor से थोड़ा सा pole दिखा दीजिए इसको. Yes, that is the pole. Yeah. That is the pole. So on which the yoke would be there and the horses would be, this one harness is there. And can you just round up that one also, the wheel also on the lower side? Yes. So there you can see the wheel. Next, please. Next. This is, how that chariot might have looked. It is an imaginary with this one constructions. You have the pole, also you have the wheels also. Next, please. Next, please. So these are this one burial furniture along with the dead body, because it was a burial. It was not with this one a cremation. So along with the dead body, they would be keeping a number of potteries also, so that in the next life he could use for those things, and also the weapons which he had used. Next, please. Again, you can see the same kind of wheel also and the pole also. Next, please. Again, the pole, yes, and the wheel. Next, please. It has, again, the wheels are there, just behind that one. The cursor is there, that is the back wheel, and the front wheel is little behind. Next, please. This is, of course, from Akbar's period. Akbar, because, he wanted to have that Muslims also should learn about Ramayana and Mahabharata. So he got it translated not only to Persian, but also he wanted that, it should be picturized. So he made paintings out of that one so that it would be easy for the Muslims to understand it. So it is the Swayamvara. Next, please. And this is, they are going, that is, from the Akbari period onwards, they are going to the Kailash, all of them. And you can see in the center of it, that is this one is the Pachisi. The dice is going on. So you can see the dice mat also there. Next, please. This is the dice game, because in which they were defeated, Pandavas were defeated. And the same kind of dice, that is gamesman, that was excavated from Hastinapura. Next, please. This was the gamesman or dice which was excavated from Hastinapura. Next, please. This is Professor, this one, Rao, S.R. Rao. He wanted to prove again things like that one. He was in search of this one, Krishna's Dwaraka. He could not get it on the land, so he had to do this one, marine archaeology. He had to go to the sea and then he excavated it. Next, please. here you see this one, diver is ekdam ready here. I am sitting just on the left side. This is Dr. Alok Tripathi. He is now our Additional Director General of ASI. Next, please. So when they went, I mean, deep below, there they could locate a number of things associated with Dwaraka. Next, please. These are the seals from Mesopotamia. That means, I mean, if you are getting a seal from Mesopotamia, that means we have trade relations with Mesopotamian civilization. Next, please. This is part of the bastion of Dwaraka city, and they are taking the measurement of it. Next, please. In the wall of Dwaraka city. Next, please. This is now we are coming to Ayodhya, because this is one of the earliest sculpture of Lord Ram. It goes back to 2nd century BC. Next, please. These are some of the stories associated with Ramayana. Next, please, in sculpture. Next, please. This is the abduction of, you can see, it's a Pehliwala. So this is the abduction of, that is Ravana. He is abducting Sita Ji. So in order to give a hint to Rama, Sita Ji is dropping her bangle. So this is, I mean, you can see the bangle down below, and on the, it was on the basis of which Rama could see, Rama could feel that it was towards this side, this direction they had gone. Next, please. And again, I mean, Shri Rama giving Abhijnana to this one. Next, please, for the direction. Next, please. Again, Professor Lal had taken up the excavation in 1976-77 at Ayodhya. Next, please. This is, I mean, we excavated 3 places. One was Ayodhya, the Janmbhoomi itself, and then it was Nandigrama, and then it was in near, there is another place that is one Hanuman Gadi. So these were the 3 places which we had excavated at that time. So when we went inside, because whenever we take up an excavation, we will do an exploration also. When we went for the exploration into the mosque area, we were stopped. Then I reasoned with them. I said that, I mean, we are just excavators, we are researchers. We should be allowed. We have nothing to do with the other things, that is with the controversy which is going on. So he allowed us inside. So when I went inside, I could see that all the 12 pillars on which the mosque was standing, that was made of this one, temple pillars. So how do you say these are temple pillars? That is the first question. And first of all, it was engraved with this one, Purna Kalasha. What is a Purna Kalasha? Purna Kalasha is a symbol of prosperity in Hinduism. It is one of the 8 auspicious symbols, Ashtamangala Chinnas, it is known as. Even now, if a Hindu leader is coming, I mean, Acharya is coming, you cannot welcome him by garlanding. You cannot welcome him by giving a shawl. You have to welcome him only by giving a Purna Kalasha and also a Shri Phal. That is the usual. So this was engraved on that one. And secondly, there are certain sculptures, Hindu sculptures also on those 2 pillars. And that was, of course, defaced also. So that was one first evidence. And then when Professor Lal excavated on the western side also, and also on the southern side, there we could get the brick bases on which the temple pillars would be standing. So that was the second evidence. And then some of the sculptures of Devi Devatas, that is terracotta made sculptures of Devi Devatas, were also excavated. Now, if it is an Islamic area or a mosque, you are never supposed to get these kind of gods and goddesses, because that is known as haram in Islam. You will never get such things in a mosque area. So it was on the basis of that one, Professor Lal had come to the conclusion that there was a temple. But that was 1976 and 77. He did not want to create an issue out of that at that time. So he did not highlight it. Only it was mentioned in our report, but it did not, I mean, unnecessarily he did not go to the press and he did not make an issue out of it. But that was misused by the communist historian in 1990. They went to the press. People have been historians. They were simply historians. None of them were archaeologists. They were historians. They went to the press and gave a statement that Professor Lal and his team had excavated Ayodhya and they did not get anything associated with the temple, meaning by that there is no need of handing over the site to Hindu community. So none of them were archaeologists. That is number one. Archaeology is a technical subject and they had no domain competence to speak on archaeology. That is number one. Number two, none of them had visited the site during the excavation. So before passing any judgment, they should have visited the site. Number three, even after the excavation also, before making the statement, they had not visited the site. But they gave the statement. Of course, Professor V.V. Lal, he does not often speak to the press. He was in defensive, but for the first time, against his nature, he came out in the press. No, he said that we have excavated the site and we have got a number of things associated with the temple source. At that time, I was working in Madras. I was in Deputy Superintendent Archaeologist in Madras. I gave a statement in the press. These communist students, they have spoken a very blatant lie. It is a false statement. They don't know anything about archaeology. They are all historians. And whatever Professor B.B. Lal had said, and I fully agree with that one because I was in the excavation team of Professor B.B. Lal. And then I said one thing more, that I was the only Muslim who had participated in that excavation. And Ayodhya is as important for Hindus as Makkah and Medina are for Muslims. And hence Muslims should willingly hand over the site to Hindu community for constructing a huge, magnificent temple. That was my statement. And for the first time, these people, they were completely shattered. That is the Marxist historian. They had a lot of connection with the English press, and always they used to carry things like that one. But it was for the first time they were cornered and they were completely shattered. They had no answer to give. Neither, after that one, nor after some time. They could not come out against the statement which I had made at that time. They made this kind of false statement at a later period also. So that was the first thing. So at that time, some of the people suggested, okay, some of the historians are saying that there are no evidences. And archaeologists are saying there are evidences. Then why can't we do a second excavation? And for a long time, it went on, prolonged. And then it was in 2003, the second excavation was carried out. And in the second excavation, we had got only 12 temple pillars. In the second excavation that was carried out by Professor B.R. Mani. B.R. Mani is a very seasoned archaeologist, well-known archaeologist, and a very sober archaeologist also. And he got the basis of more than 50 pillars. And that too in 17 rows. Meaning by that there was a huge, magnificent temple. And then he got a number of pieces associated with the temple architecture. Because in temple there would be shikara would be the main portion, and many parts of the shikaras were excavated from below. Notably, Amalka. Amalka would be on the top, just below the Kalasha. That was excavated from there. A number of other shikara architecture parts were excavated from there. Then 263 terracotta idols, 263 terracotta idols associated with the temples, in which ladies were also there, lady drummers were there, cobras were there, dogs were there. Do you think any of this could be excavated from a Muslim area, from a mosque area? So these were excavated. And then there was this one, Pranala. What is a Pranala? Every day you have to bathe the main, this one, Pratishtha, and that Abhisheka Jala goes through a gargoyle. For that, there will be a gargoyle or Pranala. That would be always a Magara Pranala. What is a Magara? Magara is a crocodile. And that was excavated. Now, do you think a Magara Pranala would be excavated from a mosque area? So that was excavated. And then a Vishnu Hari Shila Falak. Vishnu Hari Shila Falak means it was in 29. It says that this temple is dedicated to that Mahavishnu who has killed Bali. So who has killed Bali? Shri Ram Ji, Prabhu Shri Ram. And then it is dedicated to that Mahavishnu who has killed 10-headed person. Who is 10-headed person? Ravana, who has killed him for the Shri Ram. So these are the evidences. And in order to make the excavation very free from any kind of partiality, 1/4 of the laborers who were working at the site, they were from the Muslim community. Because tomorrow nobody should say, oh, they were all the members, supervisors were also Hindus, others were also Hindus. So 1/4 of the, and therefore this one working the people who were laborers, they were from Hindu community. And every movement of the excavation was completely videographed, and excavation was going on in the presence of not only the subject experts from Archaeological Survey of India, but also from the experts brought by the Waqf Committee, Sunni Waqf Committee. They were also overseeing the entire thing. And then the independent judiciary was there. The Honorable High Court had appointed a person there, a honorable with a magisterial power. In case any dispute comes, he would resolve it. So he was also there. So it was done everything in front of them. And the questions were going on, and the daily hearing was also going on. And in 2019, and I knew Irfan Habib and his method because I had a running battle with those people while I was working in Aligarh Muslim University. So I knew that he would do something. Just to prejudice the judges, he would do something. He would give some statement. So having known him, I went to the press and gave a long statement to Times of India. That was in 5 columns, and in which I explained what are the things in favor of the temple. That was also. And then they had raised the question that most of the people who are excavating and making this report, they are Hindus. So I gave a reply for that one. This report was not only prepared by Dr. B.R. Mani, but the co-authors were 4 Muslim co-authors were there. And I gave their names also. This was not something known to those people. And the first the Muslim scholar who was who was co-author was Dr. Khaja. He retired as the director of Persian and Arabic epigraphy from this one Archaeological Survey of India. The second was Dr. Siddiqui. His name was given. He was the superintending archaeologist of Agra. Then Ali was there. He was, of course, even now he is working in Archaeological Survey of India as director of monument. And Hashmi was there. He retired from the Bhopal. All these names were given. So it was again a kind of brief book for those people. But then they came to the press, Times of India. They gave a statement that K.K. Muhammed was not there in the excavation team of Professor B.B. Lal. And this was given by Times of India without referring the question to me. Because journalistically and ethically, they should have referred the thing to me, but without giving me, without this one asking me, they gave this statement also. And Professor Lal was not there in India at that time. He was in America. I immediately contacted him. Then he gave a statement. No, K.K. Muhammed was very well with me during the entire excavation. That was the first thing. And then there were 4 other members who were in the excavation and who are alive now. All of these have passed away. So they also gave their statements. And it was not only me, our entire batch was there. Our 10 people were excavating. Shri Ram Janmabhoomi's wife, her name is Gershi. At that time, when she had participated in the excavation, she was our batchmate also. Her name was Shri Ram Janmabhoomi. Her father was a petroleum secretary to the government of India. Later on, they married. So Shri Ram Janmabhoomi's wife is the spokesperson of Congress party, and also he was a member of the cabinet also. She was also there in that excavation. Again, for the first time, they were again exposed, completely exposed in the Marxist historian. Irfan Habib gave a statement to a Jamaat Islami paper in Malayalam, that is my native language. He gave a statement what to think of participating in the excavation. K.K. Muhammed has no connection at all with Ayodhya. That means that I have never visited Ayodhya. So these kind of statements they have come. And for the first time again, they were exposed, completely exposed. When Professor this one Lal Sahab gave that this one statement. And next, please. I'm so sorry, I'm taking a lot of time. So next, please. This is our excavation team. Professor Lal is sitting in the center. I am sitting down below. I'm in the middle. And just by the side of Professor Lal's wife is there, Kusum Lal. And just by her side, this is Jairam Ramesh's present wife. At that time, she was Jayashree, this one, Jayashree. So this was our entire excavation team. Next, please. I have to publish this one also. This is, we are celebrating the Holi. Again, I am standing in the middle. Next, please. This was the statement which I had published. It was in the month of October, just 1 month or 20 days before the judgment came, because I knew that they would do something. Because Irfan Habib is such a historian, he would be manipulating things a lot, and he would say it with such a force, and all others would accept it. And because he was in ICHR, Indian Council of Historical Research, there, he could oblige a lot of people. So he had a big company, and most of the English papers were also with him. But for the first time, they were not only cornered, they were shattered in their own game. Next, please. This was, K.K. Muhammed was never part of the B.B. Lal's Ayodhya excursion. This was made by, there was one, this one professor of history in Aligarh Muslim University, Ali Nadeem Rizvi. He's a student of Professor Irfan Habib. It was he who had made this statement, this false statement. So then Professor Lal had to come and give a retort. Next, please. This is K.K. Muhammed was with me during the excavation at Ayodhya. Next, please. Yes, this was Professor B.B. Lal. And then the statement of all other people also. Next, please. And of course, this is that controversial mosque at that time. Next, please. And when we went inside, we saw it like this one. Down below, you can see Urna Kalasha, and then that yellowish portion. There were certain gods and goddesses which was defaced. This is a 12th century temple. Next, please. This is the Purna Kalasha, Purna Mada, Purna Vidam, Purna Artha, Purna Mudakshita. Next, please. At this time, even if you go to Qutub Minar, just by the side of Qutub Minar, that is Quwwat al-Islam Mosque is there. There also you can see the same kind of Purna Kalasha. Next, please. This is Purna Kalasha and Kirti Muga of Lord Shiva. That is the Kirti Muga. Next, please. Here in Quwwat al-Islam, you can see a number of things like this one. Next, please. These are temple bells. Next, please. Next, please. Here, see, you can see the broken, this one, the idols. Next, please. Number of sculptures are even now there in Quwwat al-Islam Mosque, that is just by the side of Quwwat al-Islam, Qutub Minar. Next, please. Again, gods and goddesses there from Quwwat al-Islam. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. Here again, you can see Hindu sculptures. Next, please. Next. Next. Number of next. Next. Yeah, you can see Hanumanji, Egadantam, Chaturbahu, Gajavaktram, Mahodaram, Siddhi Buddhi Samayuktam, Oshigaruda Mevacha. Next, please. Again, many sculptures like this one. Next, please. Next, please. Next, next. All these are in a spoken examples, because sometimes we have to, fight with both Hindu groups and Muslim Islamic groups also. This is a fight because some of the Muslim groups wanted to start mosque, namaz in masjid. I stopped it. Next, please. So an argument is going on. Next, please. Again, in an argument, but they did not. They were not ready to follow the rules, and I had to deploy the police near Qutub Minar. Next, please. So then I had to deploy police. That was Chidambaram's times. He helped us a lot. And finally, it was stopped. Next, please. This is Dr. B.R. Mani. It was he who had led the second excavation. Very sober and very. So we got a number of yes, a number of brick bases on which the pillars were standing. Next, please. These are the pillar bases on which this one pillars were standing. Next, please. 90 trenches were excavated, and in each of these trenches, the pillars were encountered. Next, please. Next, please. This is, of course, this one diagram of the whole thing, and a circular temple was also excavated. Next, please. Circular temple was also excavated. Next, please. This is a circular temple and apsidal temple also. Gajaprashtagara, it is known as. Next, please. And a number of terracottas of some. This is a very well decorated lady. Now, can we ever expect a very well decorated lady like this from a mosque area? Next, please. It is another lady. 263 pieces like this one. Next, please. And this is the lower part of the human's body. Next, please. The upper part of the body in black color. This is a lady drummer. Just think of it. Can we ever have it in my mosque area? Lady drummer. Next, please. Then horses. Next, please. Dog. Can we ever think of having a dog from there? Next, please. Then other animals like this one. Next, please. A cobra. Next, please. This is the amalka of the temple on top of it, and then there will be amalka. Next, please. Amalka would be almost like this one. Next, please. Or this also, this is a Khajuraho photograph, but just to show you how amalka looks. Next, please. And then Purna Kalasha again. Next. Again, temple parts. Next, please. This is that gargoyle I told you, the Magara Pranama. So this is, it would be like Magara. Magara means crocodile. Crocodile is this one. I mean, it denotes the river Ganga. Next, please. That Magara Pranama. It is like this one. Next, please. It is from another temple. It is even in South India, the same kind of Magara Pranama is being followed. Next, please. Here also. Next, please. It is also again for South India. Next, please. Next, please. Temple walls are there, and this is that this one. Vishnu Hari Shila Phalaga in 20 verses. 20 lines, not 20 verses, 20 lines, which says that it is dedicated to that Mahavishnu. And it was in 2 parts. Next, please. Many inscriptions like this were excavated, which clearly says that it was there was a temple of dedicated to Vishnu and Shri Rama. Next, please. Another inscription. Next, please. And there were a number of books in which there are references about it. It is from Satyoprakyanam. Next, please. And this is from there were a number of, even in Aine Akbari, that is in even in Aine Akbari, they speak. Aine Akbari was written during the time of Akbar. A reference, there is a reference in the Rama temple also. He gives a long reference about that one. Abul Fazl gives a long reference. And during that this month of Chaitya, there is a huge congregation. Next, please. This is John Delit. He was a Dutch person. He had come to India during the Shah Jahan's period, that is 1531. And before that, William Finch had come to India, that was in 1611, which is the Hangir's period. Next, please. They had also written about this one. Thomas Herbert, that was in 1634, again Shah Jahani period. He has spoken about this place also, and this is the reference about it. Next, please. Joseph Stephen Taylor. He came to India in 1766, and he was a Portuguese Austrian priest. He has, for the first time, he said that the pillars were reused, and in 1768. Just look at it. Next, please. So then it is the French scholar Macandel. He has also in 1801, he speaks about the Rama's birthplace. Next, please. And then it was the Persian, evidences in which they say that Masjid-e-Janamstan, about this one. So Janmastan ki Masjid, which is that one, which is that Janmastan. Janmastan means Lord Ram's Janmastan. So the name itself in Persian sources it was Masjid-e-Janmastan. Next, please. These are the Persian evidences. This is P. Carnegie in 1870. Next, please. This is again, Ayodhya Sanad. It may be Masjid-e-Janamstan. Next, please. And the whole reference is there about Masjid-e-Janamstan, which says that it was the Janamstan and mosque. Next, please. Again, Masjid-e-Janamstan. Next, please. So it was on the basis of, this is of course a coin struck by Akbar, Ramsiya coin. So it was on the basis of this kind of incontrovertible evidences that Archaeological Survey of India, Dr. Mani, Dr. Bilal, and many other archaeologists had come to the conclusion that there was a huge temple below the mosque, and it was on the basis of that one, the Honorable Supreme Court had come to that decision also, that it should be handed over, and it was a very well balanced statement. I did not expect such a balanced judgment from the court, because it was not only Muslims claim was only for 2.7 acres of the land, but instead of that they have been given 5 acres of land at a very different place. Had they been given like the earlier version of Allahabad High Court, that would have been a ever festering sum if they had been given a plot of land at the Janmastan itself, as was given earlier. That would have created a ever festering sum. So instead of that, the Honorable Supreme Court came to a very balanced judgment. And now we should be thankful to the Honorable Supreme Court also, and all the lawyers who presented the case, and also to Archaeological Survey of India. It has come to a very good conclusion, and now we are having the Pran Pratishtha on 22nd of this month. This a great problem that has been troubling the whole country for the last 500 years have been settled. Thank you all. Thank you very much for giving a very patient hearing. And now we will be listening to Monica ji, because Monica ji is an expert in the subject and a legal expert also. So we would be listening to a discussion about the legal aspect of it from Monica ji. Thank you all. Thank you very much for giving a very patient hearing.
Thank you, K.K. Muhammad ji, for the brilliant insights. Like you've said, archaeology is about finding the historical truth. And the excavations that were carried out over many decades have shown evidence of tools, weapons, transport, paintings, and a lot more. We were able to see photos of this in the slideshow, and all of this archaeological evidence has helped establish the truth of our itihas. We were showed the maps of historical sites, Mahabharat, you shared Hastinapur, Kurukshetra, Indraprastha, and many more. And of course, Ramayan, the historical sites of Ayodhya, Nandigram, Chitrakoot, and Shringa Virapura. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. I would now like to introduce respected advocate, Monica Aroraji. Just give a bit of background about her. She's been the advocate in the Supreme Court and the Delhi High Court in India. She's been an advocate for the Government of India, the JNU, and the Nalanda University. She represents the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, along with all ministries, including finance, home affairs, education, external affairs, etc.